back, chat. We've got a dessert. Some of us got a coffee. Some of us are still waiting for a coffee, but they will be back really soon. But we have to go. We have to implement things. Even if we have no idea what's left, because that's a total discovery. But there's one sure thing. I have a plane to take today. And I'll have it. So we'll just start the implementation of the player name. We were left with that before lunch. And so we'll just try the player name. So same rule as this morning. When you are starting a new method, a new something in TDD, you start by the simplest case you can think of. And here, with a game who needs a player name, the simplest case I can think of is not to give it a player name. So I'll have an exception. So my simplest case is an edge case, an error case. And it's really simple because I don't have to fill any item, any object. I can just create my signature with nothing else. So I'll add my tests, should not build without player name. And here I'll use the assert that thrown by from Assertg, which is a really cool tool. Use it. And I'll say, okay, I want a new game with null, which will be my player name. And this should be exactly instance of missing mandatory value exception. And this is the first trick. The first thing I've set up before coming there is a full stack to handle exceptions, and also this exception, which we'll look at later. And I also want my message to contain player name, because I want the stack to tell me, okay, you forgot player name, and not you forgot something. I want to say what's breaking. Okay, and here I need to create the constructor with my player name, which is a string. Okay, I broke the over test. Of course, I removed the default constructor, but we can't have a game without players. So I made a modification that resulted in regressions, but that's a needed business modification. My business wasn't good, so I accept to break the signature, to break the APIs, and I make the correction. The correction here is quite simple. I have only one game, so I give it a player and I'm done. Okay? So now I want to ensure that my player name is not null. And this is another trick. Because this assert class is mine. It's a class I've done for this project, and I have a class similar to this one in all my projects. I will enrich it depending on the needs of the project, but I will have a not null, not blank. And here field is for fluent assertions. Assert that field string, and then I can have fluent assertion, not null, max length, stuff like that. I can add a length for an exact length, a regex or whatever. And in bigger project, I will have a field with integer, doubles, everything that will give me an asserter dedicated to this type. So for integer, I will have min, max, stuff like that, because anytime I get a primitive in my domain, I want to check it. I want to ensure that it's following some rules. Okay, so here my test is passing. I'll just do another one. Oh, it's not a payer name, it's a player name. And here is with blank player name, because blank player name isn't that good. Okay, not passing, no problem. I'll use the not blank. Okay. And player name should have a max length. I don't want player name with a whole a whole dictionary. I don't want a full Klingon dictionary as a player name. I want to block the size. And I decide to block to 50 characters. Because why not? I want my player name to be less than 50 characters. Should not build with 51 characters player name.
And what happens if the name is empty?
Empty is blank.
Blank?
Same. I can test it, but I'm confident on my not blank method. So here, I want my new game, and I need a 51 character player name, so I'll build it. 51 is exactly instance of, and I think it's string value too long, something like that. No. What is it? Don't remember my own exceptions. I'm getting old. String too long exception. Okay, wasn't that far. I want a string too long exception, and I want my message to contain player name. Okay? So it's not working, and here I can say, okay, assert field, player name, not blank, because I want to keep the not blank, and max length 50. And that's pretty easy to read. This kind of fluent assertion is easy. I can have assertion for all my parameters, and I can check everything, and I don't build my object if all the fields aren't correct. If something is mandatory, I don't build if I don't have it. Something is not mandatory, remember this morning, it's an optional, etc., etc. Okay, so now I want to get new game information. So for me it's really interesting to check the information on a new game. So the score should be 0. The frame is empty, are empty, and the player, sorry. Conan, do you try to think about design pattern when trying to do those kata? Design pattern, I make the design pattern emerge from my TDD. They are just popping out. I'm doing code and I see this can be replaced by a pattern during my refactoring phase. I don't know if that answers your question, nothing sound. Tell me. So here, my player name. So I have a problem that's not compiling. I need to create. I'm losing the. Please. Yes, but I'd really like to have the.
Oh, an Eclipse program.
Yes, that's it. That's an Eclipse problem, but that's one I've never had. Strange, no problem. So I want a player name. I don't want a string because I don't want to manipulate primitive in my domain. I want objects. I want something with meanings. So I want a player name. But here, still not working, so I think I really have another problem. Nothing sounds yes, because I really have a hard time to make the code works, green, then the refactor more elegantly, and figure out some design patterns. That's one of the TDD difficulty. Of course, there are others, but one of the difficulty is this one. Finding patterns during the refactoring steps. So here I want it to be equals to a player name with the same name. Here I have my name. And you remember this morning the double loop thing will do just the same thing. Here I want to create a unit test for my player name. And it will be pretty straightforward since I can copy paste the free test here, because in fact that's control over my player name. And here it's not a game, it's a player name. Okay, that's the same rules. I wrote it for the player name. So here can copy paste that and done. Okay. So now I want to get the name of my player name, so it can be interesting. So I want a new player name player. Okay, that's annoying. I think I'll have to do that many times. To do the new player name player, I'll use that in more than one test. So I'm just gonna create a utility class, which I'll call JHipster, and I'll use this in my test to get data for my games. So that's an utility class, it's final, it has a private constructor, and I just want a method to get my player name. Oh, sorry. Okay. Nothing special. Here I ask my JHipster to, if I put it static it will be way better, to get my player name. And here I want to assert that player name get. Let's just call it get. There's only one value in the player name. This is supposed to give me my name. So, not working, of course. So here I can just add a parameter, put it final, since it's a value object and it's immutable, because it's only defined by its name. A player name with another name, it's just not the same player name. I don't need IDs, I don't need stuff like that, it's a value object. The value makes it all. And it's not working because of two things. First thing is that I'm getting null here, so should get my player name. So let's add this. So this is my player, in fact, in a game. It's a player name, but for the game it's the player. This player name, this value object, is the unique ID of a player, but the ID is a value object. Don't know if it's really clear. It's kind of complicated to understand. But this will allow me to identify a player if I want to make a scoring context or stuff like that. With a player name, I can know who is who. It's unique. But the object in itself, it's a value object. Okay, so let's just put something in it. So player equal new player name. Can somebody count how many times I'm gonna do this typo of player name instead of player name, please? I think it will be a cool metric. And this is not working.
What happens if there is two players with the same name on the same game?
There can only be one player for a game.
Okay.
In this first version, I have only one player. That's the simple rule where. Yeah, I made it easy. But of course, that's a thing to check. And I can remove that. I didn't break any of those tests. And in fact, those tests are useless. The test checking the player name format in the game, I don't need them because I know my game is gonna get me a player name. So that's dead code. I remove it. Okay? And still not working. Somebody knows why? Tell me, expecting to be equal to equals and hash code on player name. So I'm gonna generate equals and hash code based on the name. And this is ugly. I don't like this implementation. I don't like it. I find it really ugly, so I want to refactor it. But I can't refactor it if I don't have any tests, because I might break it. I can decide to do safe refactoring and stuff like that, but here I want to show how you can refactor existing code. That's more this than anything else. So it will be simple, but it will take some time. We can start perhaps a chronometer to see how long I'm taking, because that's lots of developers think it takes really long time to test that kind of stuff before refactoring it. So I have no idea how long I take writing it from scratch, and we'll see. So I'm gonna write test. I know that this code works. Eclipse is right. The code is ugly, but functionally it's okay. That's the way you're supposed to implement an equals and an hash code. So I'm just gonna write test for each case and see what happens. So var should donc this egal object should be equals to self if it's the same reference. Then it's okay. So I want a static import on that, and here I can have my player name. So same reference, and player name equals player name is true. So far, so good. Next should not be equal to null. Player name equal null is false. Okay, next should not be equal to another class. Oh, another class. That's just the next case. Player name equals the string player is false. And my idea is even gonna tell me, aren't you drunk? No, not enough. So I'll just add a suppress warning. That's what I want to do. No problem. So next case should not be equal to player name with another name. Another. I don't like this word. So player name equals new player name another. I said another name. This is another name. Okay? Yeah, my humor kinda suck. Sorry for that. And then it should be equal to player name with same name. And this one is easy to implement. Okay, and now I have a question. Do I forgot some use case and stuff like that? I just run a coverage analysis, so I'll see what is the code where I'm not going, oh, I missed this case. Can some... this is dead code. This code is dead because name can't be null. It's dead in the equals, but it's not dead in the hash code. This code to check the name nullity in hash code is not dead code. There's a way in Java to be there. I don't know if you know this strange thing of Java. It's related to serialization. If you serialize your object, it will use the default constructor even if it doesn't exist, and then put the value, and it can do an hash code during that phase. So that's tricky. But here, I can refactor my equals method to something that suits me more. So here, I just say, okay, in both those cases, this is not equal. And here, I'll answer this morning Arno Zeda's question because I'll use an equals builder from Apache commands. And I can open name and overname and is equal. I didn't break anything, but the code suits me a lot more. So same thing for the hash code, it will be easier to do. Should have same hash code with same name. Oh. Is equal to, oh please, what did I do wrong? Is equal to player name hash code, okay, and should have different hash code with different name, and here my name will be different. And I think you already get the joke, but I like it. So, okay. So it's not is equal to, it is not equal to. Perfect. And so I can refactor it. Same thing, hashcode builder, append name hashcode. Clearer, easier, easy to read. And doesn't take that long in the end. And once you have done it one time, you can copy paste and do replace. Once you have done this test suite one time, it's really easy to copy paste it. And so you can build it and you can check really what you want, remove the dead code and do safe refactor. Okay? So now our game got a player name, and this is a good news. So what's the last thing we'll need to really start doing hexagonal architecture? Because I don't know if you remember, that's the title of the track. The ID, yeah. So my new game, in my new game information should have an ID. And a new game should have a unique ID generated by my domain. I really don't like to have ID generated by some third party, like a database, because it's harder to test, it's slower because you have a single point of failure, you need some exchanges back and forth, because you create your object without ID, it gets you the ID, you get it, okay, I have my ID, this is my ID. Creating an object with a unique ID is quite simple. So I can create it, and if you don't have any ID, just get a unique ID, and bam, I have no problem. It's easy to test. I can change my persistency implementation. I won't have to update the sequences. I won't have problem if I want to merge two databases because the ID are colliding. Use unique ID. So my game get ID. Okay, so I don't understand why the exact same thing didn't work 10 minutes ago. And this is a game ID. I want to put it in as the first getter, because in the logical order for me it comes first. And I will create my game ID. Okay. And here I just want my game ID to not be null, because that's all I can check. That's a new random ID, but I want it to be not null. So here I can left to do for the me of in 5 minutes, so I don't forget it. And I will do the implementation here. Sorry, game ID. And here, in that case, I just create a new game ID. And here I just get it as a result. So now I need to do the game ID implementation, and do you have any ID, or I can do that easily? No? My first test will be, okay, the default constructor of a game should get me a unique ID. That's as simple as this. I don't need any other things right now. So should get random unique id from default constructor. So I need assert G, and I want my new game ID get, because that's enough. That's a game ID. I don't need to say get ID. Okay, and here I want a universal unique ID because that's cool, and I want it to be not null. So if I do that, this is a mistake. But my test is green. But this is no, don't do that. What I can do is just extract this and check that id get is equal to id get. Easy to do. And I have a problem, of course, because my design is just broken. Here I want to make a random ID and store it in a field. And I want to get this ID. And this is working. Of course, this is final, because the game ID is an ID, but the object in itself is a value object, not moving, immutable. And I'm manipulating game ID, not UID, because I have a lot of UID in a real application. And if I have a method taking 3 UID, good luck. To call it, you'll need to go see the implementation to see which one is used in what. You can rely on parameters name. If you're lucky enough, they will be okay. Here I can fail. If I ask a game ID, that's a game ID, not a user ID, not something else. I know it's a game ID. And it takes 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes to do, and it will save you headaches. So try it. And I said I won't talk about domain-driven design, but in fact I am talking a lot about domain-driven design. Just a little part of domain-driven design, which is the pattern to build application, but that's what we are doing. Game is an aggregate. Frame is a value object. Game ID is a value object. Player name is a value object. This is my aggregate. I can follow its life cycle. Okay, so it's almost 2 p.m. Let's switch back to the full cap. Here we have two possible paths. We consider that the first version of our domain is okay. I see a major flaw here, but I removed it from the specification to allow us to have the two paths. My major flaw is that our domain can be built with stupid data. I can have role at minus pins down. I can have role at 15 pins down, etc. This is stupid. In a domain, I should control that. I shouldn't be able to roll on terminated game. I shouldn't be able to roll stupid data, etc. So in a real code, in a real application, I'll do that. Right now, I'll add the check to my frame, to my game, to ensure the business value. We call that the invariant. So we can do that, but I don't think that's the best call right now, considering time, interviews, and etc. Or we can start doing a real application out of this domain, because we have a domain floating out of nowhere. So we can start wiring it to a JHipster application. And it's up to you. I give you my advice. For this pick, I won't do it in a real application. I'll add the invariant control. In fact, that's the first thing I'm doing. But now, today for this live, what do you prefer? JHipster? Yeah, we are JHipster code. Let's do some JHipster. Can you check rapidly on the OBS feedback that sound is good, etc.? Because Axel left us. Yes,
Seems-
seems okay. Seems okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So
So
the bar is moving on, so I suppose it's okay. Yeah. Go in the green, maybe in the yellow.
Yeah, I still have battery on my microphone. That's one of the problems for today. So okay, thanks Maxence. Perfect. So let's do some JHipster code. I think that's the fun part for you.
Oh yes. This is where I'm supposed to
To
do something.
that. Okay. Okay, so before doing JHipster code, I got you. I have another slide. I have two other slides to explain
Two more slides.
all those stuff. So right now we built our domain with unit and social test. A unit test is a test. In fact, that's the same thing. It's just that people think unit test is testing one unit in code. No, unit test is testing one behavior, one functionality. It can test multiple classes, and we've done it many times. My is terminated on frame is not tested in frames. It's tested in game because game needs it. And it was really easy and really natural to test it that way. So that's the only typology of test we have done so far. Yes. We'll have to add some other test typologies to go further, so I'll just go through the pyramid. We'll have to add integration test. And when you talk about integration test, depending on who you are talking to, they don't have the same definition. So I'll give you mine. We don't really agree on the terms, we agree on the levels and the needed levels. The terms may change depending if you read Martin Fowler article on Martin Fowler website or his colleague's article on Martin Fowler website or Uncle Bob article on Test Pyramid, they have the same levels, they are not called the same. This is my notation, so we are speaking the same language, that's all. So integration for me is when your solution, your code is speaking to another code, somebody else's code. Your code speaking to your database, your code speaking to your framework, your code speaking to an API. This is an integration. You integrate your code with something else. Okay. Then we have contracts. As soon as you expose an API to the world, it has to work. You can't break an API without noticing it. If you break the API, you have to tell it, you change the URL, you say it's a V2. But you can't break an API, not on purpose. So you have to make contract test. So you ensure you are not breaking your API. This is really, really, really important. Contract test really will save you. Then I have a component test. A component test is, I take my code, I take the stuff I'm shipping to production, I mock everything external. I mock or use simple implementation, for example, for my databases. Maxence is so sad that you don't have the slide, but Anthony will share the slide, so share the slide deck with everybody, make it public, and send it to the chat, so you will have the slide.
It seems that people don't see the slide on the stream. That's why.
Sorry. Sorry, I forgot to change the scene. My bad.
Okay.
No, sorry. Axel's bad.
But he's not here, so we can't tell that. No
That's
problem.
always Axel's fault. If there's any technical problem,
Yes.
that's Axel's fault.
Yes. However, I will share the slide.
You have to change the sharing parameters, I think.
I want.
And
yes.
make them public.
We can change that. We'll just publish it on the SlideShare website.
No, I think you change that and it's okay.
Okay.
I think you have the right. You make it public.
Every user that
got the link, yes.
Okay, it's good.
No, not editor, just viewer. Update and just viewers.
Oh yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Axel, that's your fault. Yes, because we are two on the Ipontech account on the chat, Axel and me. And Ipontech is saying, I will tell him. So I think he got the message. Yeah, This one may be my fault, I must admit. Okay, so component. Whatever you are shipping, you simulate the rest. For your database, just take an in-memory database, something simple, some HQ or stuff like that, or start a container with test containers, but simulate it in a controlled environment, and call your API, call your entry point, and you will validate your cinematic, all the steps you are calling. Then, that's the end of the test we can do without deploying any solution, and this will be the end of the test we'll do today, because we are not gonna do deployment and stuff like that. Then you have the end-to-end, your front end calling your back end, calling your other back end, calling whatever. Properties tests. So that's all the tests that are really important but are not directly features. Performances, security, scalability, stuff like that. This is really important. If your application is doing perfectly what it's supposed to do, but take 10 minutes at each API call, it's not usable. So properties test is important. Your properties must be okay in normal standard. Today, an API answering in 1 second is really too much. So this is a problem. And then we have the exploratory testing. It's basically some user trying to break the solution, clicking and trying to break it.
You mean monkey test?
Yeah.
So maybe we can tell the chat, or I know a lot of people on the chat are used to watch your videos and your stream, so maybe they already know, but we can tell them that I think you have done a specific stream live soon on what those tests are and kind of tests we can find in the pyramidal
It's on the way. We've done 2 sessions, but we are not that far, and at the end of this day we'll be
make another one. No?
Yeah, no, at the end of today we'll have some steps in advance comparing to those lives.
Oh, okay. So
This live will go further.
Will go further away than the old one.
Yeah,
okay, so you don't have to check that. You just follow the.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I have an echo. I don't know. No, it's the other room. Or
Yes, maybe just people just.
Yeah, sorry, they are doing a call. No problem. No problem. So
maybe I have a question about integration, about contract test. So maybe I know you use a contract test just as you don't use external tools to do that.
That depends.
But we can use it external tools, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what kind of tools you suggest to use?
I got a really good time using just Swagger. So I use Swagger to generate API documentation from the code. And in fact, you can generate your Swagger documentation at build time. You can take your Spring Fox Swagger and generate your Swagger file at build time. And there is a cool tool in the Swagger suite that allows you to check breaking changes between 2 versions of an API. So you generate your Swagger file on your branch. Once it's done, you call your Swagger file on your master. You use this tool, and if there is a breaking change, you send a mail. You break the build if you want. This is kind of easy to do, and
it's good for this because if you add some fields or some others, the test is down and you can have the contract.
Yes, Spring REST docs. I think you can link it. I don't know this tool, but kind of cool.
Spring REST.
Docs.
Docs.
I'll check it. Don't know this one. Perhaps I built something kind of manual that's maybe easy to do.
At least it's for generate documentation, but if you use it without some tricks, you have a contract, and if on the generation of the documentation you have a new field or another thing, the generation is down, and we can have the contract test like this.
Okay, So awesome, I'll check that.
I'm looking for something that I know, but I can't find it for the moment. But I know it was someone from IPON that wrote an article on that, and I think it was I don't remember it.
API testing. It's Gregory who wrote something, I think, on this.
Maybe it
You
was
can check
a few
his
months
page.
ago.
Yeah, you can
And
check his page on.
Yes, I know that he used something that you just you need to deploy your API first, and so you have a contract available, and you just with YAML syntax you wrote test that will be check that the API will respond as expected. So you just have to write some YAML files. It's quite easy. Well,
yes,
we suppose that is easy even with YAML, okay? And if you don't make mistake just about in YAML file, and so you can have you can launch the test as you want, maybe in the continuous integration, continuous development system, and so you can test your contract. But for that, you need to deploy the API somewhere, just not in local.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can do in local, of course, but the real value is to have something available for every person that can launch test when they want.
Yeah, that kind of looks like my manual solution with Swagger, but better done, better industrialized. I have to check that. And we'll see for the payload part of the contract test, I'm just using unit test. I use them to ensure that I have the good Jackson annotation, that the serialization is like I want, and bam, I have a payload contract test that won't break. So we'll see that. Okay, so this is on a pyramid because the more you go up, the upper you go, the more confidence you have because you're increasing the scope. But you don't do all your tests in an exploratory mode because don't do that. You'll spend weeks and weeks doing tests. You won't see anything at all. You'll think you have tests. You'll think your code is of great quality, but not really. You can check. A human can do repetitive tasks without errors. Computers can. And when you go to the bottom of the pyramid, you are faster, you have a better isolation, so your test won't break so easily. So do a lot of unit tests, little less integration, etc. This is why this is a pyramid. So far, we built a domain model using unit and social test. And now we'll put it in a clean architecture. There are many clean architectures. The one I use is a version of hexagonal architecture because there are more than one. Perhaps you'll find my version of hexagonal architecture is not good, is not suited to your needs. Perfect. Find one that is suited to your needs. I'm using this one. I'm okay with it. I didn't see any flaw, any fatal flaw at least, for on many applications on thousands and thousands lines of code. So this is not the version described by Alistair Cockburn. This is the version I use. The version described in Domain-Driven Design Distilled by Vaud Vernon. It's not the big red book. It's a small green one, and it's very good. Not the red. The red is bad. Read the small green one. No, not bad. I don't know. I don't like it. But the green one is really, really, really awesome. And if you want to start domain-driven design, start with this one. I think that's the best shot. So my domain model is, I have an application layer. I have a domain model, and I have an application layer that I use to do orchestration. No business logic. I just use it for orchestration. Call something, make an operation, call something. That's all. 3 lines method, not more. And I put transaction in it. I have this technical need from Spring, etc. I need transactions. And I decide to put transaction at this level in most cases. Sometimes the transaction will be too wide, so I'll put it in something thinner. But most of the time, that's perfectly okay. And I also put.
Well, it's good.
Go.
Maybe we can give an example. So we can imagine that the application part will call, I don't know, repository first, right? And user one, or user repository to get a user, and maybe.
For example, my repository will get me a game.
Yes.
I will roll on a game.
Yes.
And save my game with the new role. Because I'm not doing event sourcing, it's totally possible. But here I'm not going for event sourcing. Get my game, roll, save the game.
Okay.
And return the game with the new role, the new score, etc. So I have the updated payload. Okay?
Okay.
That's what we're gonna code. And for this, I use component test and unit test. So I'm going a bit high in the level of the pyramid. So this architecture is really, really different from JHipster architecture, which is a Spring classical layered architecture, where you have your REST controller calling your service. Spring services are not application services. Please. It's really important. Your add service in Spring, it's doing everything. It has some business rule, it's doing mapping, it's doing transaction, security management, and it's verifying the entity coming from the GPA and Hibernate and stuff like that, because you didn't check the nullity, you don't have your object can build in a stupid state. My object don't build if they are in a stupid state. If somebody play a script in the database and put stupid data, my object just won't build, and I'll have a little error, not thousands of lines of database to make some magic onto so it reaches a state where I can do something with it. My object just won't build, because that's not supposed to exist. A game should have a player. If you create a game without player name, it's not good. If you create a game with a player name that is 200 characters long, not good. Okay? Application service are not Spring services. But we'll put add services application on that, but annotation on that. But that's another thing. Don't do business code in your application service. Stupid orchestration, nothing more. I call operation, done. Okay? Really, really, really important. And that's really the hard point when you are switching to this kind of architecture. At the beginning, you'll want to put business in application. Don't do it. Really don't do it. Okay. Next, I have the right part of my port and adapter architecture. Yeah, I didn't tell you. It's called Hexagonal, but it's also called port and adapter because we use ports and adapters. In my domain, I'll have ports. This is interface. What do I need to speak to something else? And on the secondary part, on the right side, right secondary, I call it secondary, I have adapters which are implementation of my ports. So I'll have a port, for example, games repository, and I can have an adapter in memory game repository. That's a perfectly valid repository. I save my game in my memory. To start, to discover what I really need as a repository implementation, that's totally okay. So I have my adapter in memory game repository. Secondary is for what my application drive. I put in secondary port and adapter what my application drives. Cache, persistences, messaging, file system, over web services. What do I drive? Okay. And on the left side, the primary side, I have what drives me. Interfaces can be API, REST APIs or stuff like that. Can be listeners of events. It's drive me. Can be some console clients. I can have a console client if I want to. Primary left drive me. Secondary white, I drive them. As you can see in the former representation, there are ports and adapters on the left side. I don't use them. Perhaps it's a mistake, perhaps I'll change in some years. For now, my adapters directly calls my application service. Because that was a level I don't need, it have no use for me. You can remove the application layer and use use your port to do that, but I don't like it. With Spring behaviors, with the constraint we have on backend side, really I prefer this approach. That's not the classical one. If you are doing hexagonal architecture on the front-end port, you won't do like that on the left port. You'll do ports and adapters because you don't have transaction in your view application. You don't. Please. So adapt it. That's an architecture. It must suit your needs. If it don't, that's not normal. If your architecture is going in your way, that's not normal. The architecture is there to help you. It's really important. But not anybody thinks so, I think. So let's start. Now that we talked a lot, we have 10 minutes left before the next interview. And that's perfect, because 10 minutes is more than we need to build a Gherkin file. Because remember, I want to start with a component test. And component test is a test level where I can speak with my business experts. They can understand. They will make mistakes and try to describe me end-to-end test, of course. But if I help them, we can write Gherkin files that are really relevant for this. So let's try to write a Gherkin file. So if I'm lucky enough, I have a folder with test features. I just create a folder for my context. So I put all the tests for this context in this folder. And I'll create a game feature. I have no plugin at all for Gherkin, just a text editor, and I'm okay with it. Okay, so feature. What do we want to test? What's the feature for the here? It can be as simple as playing games. Don't know. Playing bowling games. That's a feature. So what can be my first scenario? Yeah, starting a new game will be hard to validate. It will be, it will have, the scope is kind of thin. For me, I'll start with a game and 1 or 2 roles, so I can check my score, I can check some stuff. Two roles on a game? The name is not that good, if you have a better idea. But we can start with that. Given 1z, so the Gherkin syntax. Given, what's my initial state? I create a game, so we say I or we say the user. We have to pick one. User? User create a game. Maybe you can name him. Player 1, for example. Player 1 create a game. Creator creates. Player 1 creates a game. When?
When player 1 plays 2 roles.
Yeah, we can do that, but I'd like to describe the roles in my Gherkin file. something like that. Player role, and we can do that now. Something like that. For example, I think. Oh yeah, sorry,
Yes,
typo. I think it's readable enough, and okay, he plays 4-3. Then score or the score? The score is 7. Do we want to check something else?
The game player name is player 1.
We can check. Okay, something else to check?
The game has an ID.
Well, yeah, of course he'll have one because I created and then roll on it. I can do it, so I think it must have an ID. But we can check the frames.
Yes, that's it.
We can do something like that. No? I think it's okay. I think it's readable, something like that. Okay, you have your first roll, second roll, and it will be really easy to describe all kind of games, all kind of frames combination with that, I think. Okay, our first scenario looks good. So, I think the next interview is quite soon. I don't want to start implementing the steps and doing this implementation and break in 5 minutes. I think that's not a good idea. Perhaps you can try to catch your next interview.
Yes, and you could maybe have some questions.
Yes.
We can check questioning. So chat, if you have questions, it's still the moment. Since Deepu will come with us.
And I'm starting to lose my voice. That's this moment of the day. We know it will happen.
Yes, maybe you drink too much water. I mean.
I need more beer.
Oh, of course, yes.
I need more beer.
This is that we can call that beer-driven development, some BDD, a new BDD, you know?
Yeah. Or perhaps the air conditioner is killing me. That's also possible. The air conditioning. That's also very possible. Did he find Deepu? Hey, do you find the guy?
Yes, coming
Perfect. Perfect.
Because the chat is very quiet, so I suppose they all understand all the things you've done. I think it's it's really clear. So it's cool.
Or they are sleeping.
Or maybe, but well.
They are probably sleeping.
Let's say that because you are very it's very interesting.
Yeah,
they don't have questions. That's like Maxence says.
I think they are sleeping. We don't have questions. Okay, Maxence. Okay, Deepu is entering. We are just setting up the next interview, and we'll be up for Deepu's interview. So, setting things up. Nap time, yeah, I think it's nap time more than what I say is understandable and interesting. I think nap time is a way better call.
So maybe they eat too much.
Yeah. Or they drank too much.
Oh, maybe, well. Well. It's supposed to be at work, so no, we can't think that.
Given I have 2 balls in your scenario, Mr. Del Broyel, please. Okay, so we are all set up, guys. We switch to you.
Yes.
Done.
Hi Deepu, thanks for joining for a few minutes to talk with us. So we have you here to discuss about JHipster today. First, maybe a quick introduction of yourself, who you are, what you're doing, what's your background.
So I think most of you know my name. So anyway, I'm Deepu K. Shashidharan. So currently I work as a developer advocate for Adyen. It's a payment platform for enterprises and mid-market companies. So I started contributing for JHipster around 5 years ago. I started out as a someone who was annoying Julian with some tickets, and then he asked me like, why don't you build this yourself? And I was like, yeah, I can. And at that point when I started out, I think the JHipster community was quite small. I think there was probably around 50 contributors, and then slowly we started to grow, and I think in the next 1 year there were a lot of new features added, and have been I think I coded most of my time I was spending coding JHipster, and I think I'm still the number 2 top contributor, though the last 1 year I have been contributing less code and taking on more of direction, and that letting the young blood do all the work, and then setting direction, taking a back seat and watching them, and providing help when necessary. I think both me and Julian were doing that, and Pascal has been taking on more responsibilities and driving it more, which also corresponds to the new blood coming in and the new contributors. So I have been leading the project for I think more than 2 years now with Julian. So that's about me. And also originally I was a Java developer. I started out as a Java developer. Then I was a JavaScript developer, and now I'm a polyglot developer doing whatever comes my way. So.
Okay, so you said you stepped back a little from development on JHipster. We had Julian this morning who said he was doing more administration as a project leader. Are you also not only but doing administration, or what's your role? I think it's quite a little bit different than Julian.
So technically all 3 of us are project leads, but I think Julian is doing more of the administration part, and I'm doing more of so I make sure that I participate in all sort of discussions and roadmap directions. So I think for me, I stopped doing for example, I stopped picking up tickets and working on them, because given the size of the JHipster community now, it's not required anymore. Back when I started, it was required, and especially there are a lot of complex features in JHipster which I built originally, and which nobody was touching. For example, the blueprints and the yeoman generation part, the core part. I was the one who was constantly updating those and rewriting it once a while when things change, and upgrading to the new versions of Yeoman, the blueprints part, the hooks mechanism, and all these things. So at that point there was a dependency on me to maintain that, because nobody was ready to touch those, because that was the most complex parts, and also not everyone understood how those things worked, right? So because you had to put in a lot of time to understand how it works first. So I for some reason put in that effort, so I understood how it works, so I was the only one touching it. But gladly, I think in the last 1 year there were a few new people who were also showing interest in that part, and they took up that part and they started working on. So I was so glad that okay, there is somebody else who knows the complex internals. So I was truly able to take a step back and take a step back from all coding activities and focus only on the leading part. And also Pascal has been doing a great job of making the releases and managing the project itself. So that burden is also reduced. So I think mostly what I do now is, of course, I take part in all discussions. That is very important because you have to. One issue with having a lot of young blood is everyone wants to do everything, right? So and sometimes it is not scalable. That everyone wanting to do everything may not be scalable. So you have to have someone to come in and say no, we shouldn't do this. So I think sometimes I play the bad guy part of coming in and saying like, hey, no, we shouldn't be doing this. I think somebody has to say that at some point. And and of course I still do the evangelization part for JHipster wherever possible, and writing about it and these kind of things. So yeah, I take that kind of a role. I think it's quite similar to what Julian does as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Pascal is more on the the core project maintenance, and we are more on the administration and then like guiding new people and these kind of stuff.
And aren't you missing the end-on part to actually develop make bug fixes, develop functionality, because you had the step back? I guess it must be relieving a little bit from a workload perspective, but
it's a mixed feeling, because another reason I took a step back from development was also because I think kind of 2 years ago, until 2 years ago, for maybe around 3 years from the time I joined JHipster, all my free time was dedicated to JHipster. Whenever I was free, I was on the laptop doing something, right? So the work-life balance was not there, honestly, and that is also one reason I wanted to take a step back, have a life and that kind of thing. So I don't miss that, honestly, as much as I thought I would, which is a good thing for me, I think. And also I think having gaining more experience, and if I look back, I think that is okay. I mean, I still do some stuff, like for example, like last week I recoded the entire JDL studio, which was fun. So once a while, yes, I still do. Whenever I crave that kind of coding, I still go in and do something, especially things that nobody was touching. For example, JDL studio, nobody was touching it, so I knew, okay, I had to go in and like do that. So yeah, I mean, of course there'll be some times when there are things that nobody wants to do, and then of course I'll definitely go in and do those. But yeah, it's fine. I think it's fine.
Okay, and so back to the work part, professional part. You're of course an evangelist on JHipster. In your company, do you use it? Do you use it first, and are you using it a lot? If you're using it, are they receptive?
So I originally started using JHipster as part of my day job. When I was working as a consultant, I wanted to quickly prototype something, and I was looking for something. That is how I discovered JHipster, and that is how I started contributing, because whatever JHipster had then was like very basic. So it was not sufficient for me. I started building whatever I needed. That is how I started. And then I switched jobs and I moved to Europe. And in my second company, we used JHipster to build one of our products. JHipster was the core of one of our products. And now I switched to another company. And here, unfortunately, it's a payment provider with an established product and everything. So there is no scope for using JHipster as it is. But I did use JHipster for building some demo applications and stuff like that. So I still see that was a great fit, right? To build some quick demos and stuff. JHipster is still the great fit. So whenever I want to do a quick Java demo or something like that, I still use it. For example, I think I recently published a blog as well, showing an e-commerce application which was built using JHipster, of course. So yes, if I have a chance, yes, but I don't want to push. Just because I co-lead the project doesn't mean I have to push it to everyone, because you also have to see where it fits, right? Yeah,
to see if there are advantages.
Exactly. So if there is a fit, yes, of course.
Okay, but do you feel like they would be receptive if maybe not on the payment core, literally speaking, but maybe for side projects to go for JHipster, or do you feel like there might be some?
Yeah, I do think anybody who has a CRUD kind of need, and in the Java base, if they have a CRUD kind of need, I don't see why they shouldn't use it, because it's one of the fastest way to do that. And of course, again, it has to match the use case. So if the use case is building a CRUD on Java quickly, then of course, I'm pretty sure if you demonstrate what the platform can do, I so far haven't had people saying no when you demonstrate the platform, and if they had the use case, they have always been receptive. So I would assume the same. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be receptive if there is a use case.
Okay, and so today, what's your role on this JHipster code, except being, of course, the project leader and checking stuff and networking and all? I think you're leading some track.
Yeah, so I have been helping out Pascal with the beginners track. So yeah, just there answering questions and helping needs. And honestly, Pascal did most of the work of preparing everything. I'm just helping out in answering questions and stuff, as I'm always doing, which I kind of like that kind of role. So, and I think as the project matures, that is what all of us has to do. I mean, at some point, I think all of us who were leading and driving the project have to take a step back and let new people take over and be more of a guide rather than like lead. So I think that would be ideal, because our ideas and things that we bring in was definitely useful from the beginning. I mean, they are valuable, but as time changes, our ideas might stagnate. So when you let new people take on, I think things will keep on going. And I think as a community, JHipster has grown a lot. I think I have seen it growing from like less than 50 contributor project to 500 plus contributor project, and from a single project to like 15, 20 project organization, and the growth in popularity and everything. I've seen all that. So, and it would be unfair to say that is all because only few of us. It was the community effort. It was because of the great community that we had, and all those people who worked in the past, who are working now, and who will work in the future, right? So I think as leads of the project, I think our main responsibility should be to guide them and let them do their work and get out of their way. We shouldn't be in their way to when they try to innovate, and just be a support, just be a support when they need it. So I think that is what I want to do. So like be more like a guide.
Okay. And you're talking about innovation. So I won't say trends because we discussed it with John this morning, but what's for you what would you like to have in JHipster next breaking feature? And
one good thing about being in an open source community, especially a community like JHipster, where things are very asynchronous. I mean, I don't think any of us communicate in real time. Yeah. We have never communicated in real time. Everything is asynchronous. Decisions are made asynchronous, and most of the things are community driven. Features are community driven. So a community like this, I think that is the strength of a community like this, and that is why I can say that Julian might have a vision for the future. I might have a different vision for the future. Pascal might have a different vision. Yes. So it really doesn't matter. In the end, what matters is, regardless of all our vision, in the end, what goes in is what the community wants. We can propose our vision. We can propose, hey, this is what we want to do. And if others agree, of course, it will get done. And if others don't agree, then it's fine. Of course. Then that's how things go. And that's why JHipster is a success, because we were building what the community wanted, and we were building what everyone wanted, not just one person wanted, right? That will not scale. So for me personally, I think something that I have been wanting to do for a long time is to move away from Yeoman and to make JHipster completely a standalone platform, because currently, so we started with Yeoman. Yeoman is really good, but it has its limitation, and I don't think Yeoman was ever intended to be used on such scale. Mm-hmm. So I think even before JHipster 6, I think even when we started building modules for JHipster, we already started feeling the limitations. And when I was building blueprints, I reached out to some of the Yeoman contributors, and I was asking them, have you guys ever done any of this, or has anyone done something like this? And they was like, yeah, no. The only thing we do is like the composability and the module kind of stuff. So I was like, that is when we knew, okay, Yeoman cannot give anything more for us. So the entire blueprint system was built around Yeoman by bypassing some of the stuff, working around stuff. It's a bit hacky in some places. It was very tricky to get working, and it's still the most complex part of the generator. And that is because of the limitations that Yeoman poses at this point. So for me, it would be really nice to migrate out of that and make it completely independent, so that we can do more stuff without having those limitations. And of course, there are some parts of Yeoman which is extremely useful for us, but those parts of Yeoman fortunately are modular. They are separate, so we can directly use them without having to use the entire Yeoman platform. So I have been discussing about that with a few others as well, and yeah, it seems like a lot of people in the community are open to that. It's just about the effort, because that's not something small.
Yeah.
That kind of migration is a huge effort. So probably, yeah, we have to discuss further, and if we can find out a solution for a partial migration or like a incremental migration, then that would be something really great to do. And if we do that, then the platform will be even more powerful. Then there will be a lot more that we can do. That's personally that something I probably would try.
We'll check for JHipster 8.
Yeah, probably, or 7 or 8. Yeah, 7 a little too late, but 8, yeah.
Thank you. I guess we'll go back to the track. Maybe you have a final word to give to the community.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest things about the JHipster community is that I mean, I can proudly say that in so far we didn't have a lot of issues that many communities normally would face. Of course, we still have issues that open source in generally face. Like, for example, diversity is a huge issue. We don't have a lot of, for example, we don't have a lot of women or LGBT kind of contributors. It would be nice to have those kind of contributions, and we have been trying to push for these kind of things. We have been trying to mentor people who wanted to come into that world, because it might also be intimidating to come into a huge open source project with majority of contributors being male. So we have been trying, and so far, unfortunately, we didn't have too much success. Maybe we don't know how to do that properly. I don't know, but it would be nice if we can improve that situation. But other than that, I don't think we never had a huge drama in the community or huge issues, people fighting or these kind of things. So in a way, I'm glad that we have a really nice community of people who are really reasonable and understanding, and who can really work together even if they don't see each other. They can really work together, and they can be really cordial and respect, show respect to each other. So yeah, I'm glad to be in such a community actually. So I thank all of them again, and I would like to invite more people into the community to be in this awesome space.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
And see you around.
Yeah, see you.
And thanks a lot, DeepU. Do I have some, because I have to announce something really important that happened during the interview. Something important for Ipon Twitch channel. We've got our first ban. We ban our first user. Somebody selling some service to have bots for false viewer on Twitch. And I moved. It's our first ban, It's too cool. Thanks a lot for the interview, DeepU.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Matthew.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? First, what did you say? First band?
Yeah, we ban our first user from the Twitch channel during your interview.
Okay, you mean ban, not
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the first ban.
That means it's doing good.
Yeah,
It's a good sign.
It's a French accent.
Yeah, sorry.
That's a good sign. That means more people are watching.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a question. I hope I answered. Don't hesitate, French Gadro, if I didn't really answer your question when we were on the interview. Very interesting interview. Okay. So, where were we? We were at the point where we wrote a Gherkin file. Know what's coming next. We have to write the steps to use this file, of course. So, one cool advantage of being in this kind of architecture is that I can write the steps in the same context. So I'll be able to use package visibility and stuff like that. And my steps, I want to test the primary port, because I send my component test, I come from the primary all the way. So I'll put them in an infrastructure primary package in my context. Okay, and so now I can write my games steps. So first step to create, player creates a game. So given, and here I want to change that by string. So that's classical Cucumber. I don't know if everybody's used to it. And here it's my player name. So this is another trick on this application. I used a custom Cucumber integration that I have done, and in this integration I have a special way, let's say, to mock users. In fact, I need to auto-wired a mocked security context, and then I'll be able to inject authentication to my security
Say hi to the live. Oh.
Hello. So let's call it context, and then I can set the authentication for the context. Okay, that's a trick. You'll find commits using it and stuff like that. And I wrote an article on Nippon blog explaining why I'm doing it that way and not using Spring mock MVC. I prefer using the real stuff. And you'll see how that works, if that works, if I'm lucky. So here I want to authenticate my player. And in fact, what I can do is, I don't know. No, I'll do it that way. I'll create my players here. Oh, sorry. So I have my players and I need a player 1. And this player 1 will have a test authentication token for player 1 and a simple player authority, player role. So that's cheating things I've done before. You can see it in the commit on the application. And here I can authenticate players get from my player name. Okay, so my player is authenticated. This is important. And now I want to create a game. So to create a game, I'll need to do a REST call. So I need to auto-wire a test REST template, and I'll do my call. So probably a post. Here we are designing our APIs. So probably a post for entity on /API, because this is JHipster, so /API is the authenticated endpoint and stuff like that. And games. Seems fair enough. If I post something on games, do I need a payload to create a game? I'm not sure of that. The guy is authenticated, you want to create a new game, I think it's okay. And do I need a response here? In the creation step, I can ignore the response. I'll need it in the when step, but in the creation step, I can just ignore it. So my first step, if I'm lucky, which I'm not when using Cucumber, should be okay. So now we can write the when step. HTTP created with the location of game ID. In fact, I don't like in my in the API calls to check the result, because I want to be able to use the step, for example, to check not authorized operation. For example, somebody rolling on somebody else's game. I want to use the same step definition. I don't want to rewrite it because the first one is checking the status. So this can be then, but that's kind of an implementation detail. So I don't know. I'm still not sure of myself on this one. I'm not using this tooling for very long, so I don't know. For now, I'll say no, but I don't know. Perhaps we can try. Perhaps we can try. The idea will be here to check that the response get status code is equal to HTTP status created, something like that. Don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know. And for the URL, we'll see later. Let's go slower. It's a very big step we are doing here, so let's go slow. So player role. Okay, my player role. Public. So I always forget the public when doing concurrent steps. Role, and here I want a list of integer. That's my rules. And to roll in that game, I need to know to which game I'm gonna roll, because I can't just roll and to any game. So I need the game. So I need the game I just created. So here I'll use another tool I have put in this project, which is the Cucumber test context. This is a tool that will be automatically called by the test threads template that I injected, and I will have all the response from all web services call. So here I can Cucumber test context, sorry, get an element on the last response or with a given URI port, and I have a JSON path to get the element I need. So if I get the ID from the last call, I can add here games, for example. The ID from the last call on game will get me the ID of the game I just created. Doesn't matter, it's a contains. I'm lazy. Okay, so that's my game ID, and in fact it's a string in the API response. And so here that means I can roll, so I can do rolls for each. And here it will be REST post. So API games slash my game, the one I just created, okay, slash roles, slash roles. And here I need a payload because I need to tell how many pins down. So it will be a new REST role, don't know, can be REST role with the role value. And the response, still a void, I think. Okay, so I have a problem that doesn't exist. It's not really a problem, I can create the class. And here, really important, I put the class in package. Because this is a primary, this won't be used by anything else. Everything depends on the domain, and the domain depends on anything else. So this doesn't depend on anything else. Okay. So this is not compiling and I don't know why. Post for entity, and he doesn't want it because that's not the good order of for the parameters. What's the signature for post for entity? Request response type. Oh yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah, good call. Perfect. And now I need some unit test on that. What kind of unit test on something this simple? What's the only thing I'm gonna do with this class?
Should not call constructor with
No, because the domain is doing this check. I don't want to do the same check on all steps. The responsibility of this class is to be able to be deserialized from JSON. I want to build it from JSON, but I'm lazy. I'm lazy enough to not write the JSON for that. So I will do a should serialize to JSON because I'm lazy. So my code is gonna doing it. I'm just gonna check that it look like I want. It look like I want. So assertions, assert that new REST role. Okay, so I need something. I need to serialize it to JSON, and this is another trick. I have a static utility class to write and read from JSON, and this class is pretty simple. This is just a configured JSON mapper. I have my JSON mapper. I have the same configuration as I have in my application, in the application YAML, and I have a write a string and read from JSON. That's all. Okay, but this is useful for test. And so here I can say is equal to, and I expect an empty string. I know this is false, but Infinitest start my test and tell me something's wrong. And I'm cool with that. You say, I can't serialize. I have nothing to serialize. I say, okay, you're okay. I'll give you something to serialize. Okay, so now you have something to serialize, and oh, sorry, my bad. It's not an empty string. I've got a call JSON string. Perfect. And done. Okay. Now I can say this is my JSON. This is my role. So here should deserialize from JSON, test JSON, read from JSON from my JSON. Of course, I want a REST role using recursive comparison is equal to role. Even for somebody as lazy as me, it's okay. It's easy to write that kind of test, and this is not working because Jackson can't manage to deserialize that. So this test shows me something really cool. It shows me that if I expose this API if I don't do this kind of test, that just won't work, and the error will can be a nightmare to troubleshoot. The correction is pretty simple once you know it. Fixed. But I avoided that bug, and I discovered how Jackson is supposed to work. I'm missing something really important, really important on this class to finish it. Can you see something missing here? Really essential for this REST class, for this payload, this REST payload. Documentation. This will be used to create my Swagger documentation. I have to document it. I have to use the Swagger annotation and add some stuff. Not that much. I just say, okay, this is not called REST role, which will be the default name. This is just a role in my API. This is a role in a game. And here the role, in fact, this is the number of pins down. You're not required to add JSON creator. No, not since 4 or 5 years. Jackson added the fact that if you add JSON property in a constructor, it will detect that it's a JSON creator. So this annotation is not needed anymore. I'll have, if it was needed, my test will fail. And I'll say it's required. This is really important. And by saying it's required, I see I have a flow here. Why using an object integer? If this is required, I can use the primitive one. It's better. It's required, it can be null. I get periodically disconnected from the chat. Is it just me? I think yes, Arno Zeda. For me, it's okay. My phone's still alive.
It seems we don't have issue, but tell us.
Yeah.
Probably.
Shame.
I have a question about that. So, well, for this example, you wrote the code, the API, and just added the documentation in it. But maybe, well, what do you think about doing the API first design?
API first?
So for the chat, we are talking about write some
Swagger file.
So Swagger, so maybe with OpenAPI
free, which is Swagger.
Yes.
OpenAPI, which is Swagger free. Yes.
And so we can write something in JSON of YAML and use OpenAPI generators to generate all the code. So you just write this is on the left, and so we don't have to. This means we don't have to write the code and also the documentation at the same time, because everything will be generated by the generators.
It's not a TD. You generate your content code from Swagger, and you have to modelize from your test. So
it's a different approach. If you
yes,
know,
but I'm not.
that's the question. What do you think about?
Oh yeah, yes. Wait.
On the right side or on the left side?
so perhaps we can repeat the question, because you don't have the mic. Can you repeat? Oh, you understand the question? Because you don't took the mic.
It's the same question.
Maybe you can. Does the mic is? Yes, maybe you can.
I think it's the same question. Can we mix all the two things, TDD and Swagger code generation?
Yeah, you can do contract first and TDD, because this is just a primary adapter. This is not code I really care about. I'm doing the minimum syndical things, and in an API, having a great documentation is a minimum. Because if you expose a REST API that is not documented, people are gonna hate you. So having a great documentation is a minimum. Having your REST objects able to deserialize from JSON is a minimum. This is my minimum. So you have two ways of writing it. You can create your Swagger file or whatever file, contracts file, and generate your code. But then you'll update your API. Of course, your API will live in time, so you'll regenerate. That will put the object in a dedicated package, because those tools are doing packaging by layer.
Yes, but in Java, the generator generate the source generated file are placed in the target folder.
Yes.
So this is not really code apart. So just you have to generate on your target folder, and you can launch the application, and so the API is alive. So
Yes, you add it as a
so
source.
if it change, it doesn't matter. So you just have to regenerate the code.
Yes.
No problem.
The both approach are perfectly right. That just depends on what you want to do. I don't like design upfront. I don't like designing upfront, and designing a whole API upfront is kind of hard for me. I never tried to do API first with small steps. Never tried. Because doing it that way, generating Swagger from the code, is perfectly okay for me. Sorry. Anozeda, do you use tool to ensure your minimums are made in the project where you are not the sole developers? I'll answer just after Anozeda. Both approaches are perfectly fine. Doing a contract first can be really, really cool if you are building something like, say, API gateway first. I'm thinking of some microservice on something like an AWS API gateway that will need this contract to do stuff. Yeah, perhaps never got the problem. In fact, I did API first a few years ago, work like it, and I don't find it very efficient, but that was probably due to the project and not to the methodology. And today, doing code first and then generated API, I'm okay with that. But there's a flow. As you say, Arnozeda, how can I check that I don't forget any annotation, that I don't forget any stuff? I have no tools for that except reviews. This is one of the few things I'm not testing. The Swagger documentation, I don't test that because I consider it's more configuration than code. And sometimes I will have typo in my documentation, but I didn't find any tests that will ensure that I have no typo or stuff like that. For me, it's more configuration than code. So I'm not testing configuration. But depends on your needs. From my point of view and with the needs I have, using it this way is really efficient. It allows me to really rapidly create the APIs I want. I don't have any flaws, I don't have any bugs on that. Sometimes my documentation is lacking, but that's not that's easy to fix, and that's something I can accept. But that depends on the project. If your project is to create an API to consume by many governments, for example, I'm thinking of FHIR, which is an API for healthcare. Their job is to create an API. So of course they will start by the API. But most of the time on our project, our job is to expose a business operations, not to create a really, really clean API. So our API is as clean as it can, but it will have one consumer or front end, or two consumers, three consumers with other businesses. So in that case, I accept that. And if I have to expose my APIs to the rest of the world widely, I'll do a very good review of the contract, because I know no other way to check API. I don't know if that answer. That answer? Cool. And I didn't forget the scene. First time in the day. And this is a good news. Okay, another answer. Perfect. So I'm happy. I should have something that's calling my web service that doesn't exist. But I have my payload. I have my signatures. Let's finish the steps. The score is 7. Okay. This should be pretty easy. Or not, we'll see. The score is int. That's it. Oh, the typos are back. Should have score. Bless you. So here I want my game ID. Yeah, the air conditioner is killing me also. Axel, the air conditioner is too low. And
26.
you want to turn it up? Yeah, we can, I think.
We can start.
I'm dying. My voice is dying. So this can be really cool. And here we have to decide how do we check the score. Do we expose a get API? Or do we get the score from the last roll call? Because every time we roll, we'll get the updated game. So what do you want to do? Buffer, okay. You want a get method. Why? The question is, in both cases, I'll ask why. You can take the mic, I think.
We get, I don't know, but maybe if we have a need for it in the future, it will be.
Your sentences start with, if we have a need.
Yes.
Yadnie. Do you know that?
Yes.
You ain't gonna need it. If you need it right now, you need it. If we have then the need in the future, perhaps that will come. No.
I knew your answer already. So we have the answer. Both are the same. Both to do the job. So we have to choose one.
Yes.
I don't know if in this this application we can do a pause, quit the application, and restart a party.
For now, no.
Okay.
For now, it's a simple pack.
Okay.
Simple proof of concept. Where are the requirements? Show me the requirements. Anozeda. If you want to start trolling, I'm gonna have to call Gnuk back. And you already lost. No problem, Anozeda. You are more than welcome. And of course, if you want to troll on the chat, we are very happy with that. Please troll harder. So for now, for the first thing I need, I know that every time I roll, I will have my updated game. I'm lazy, so I will do the simplest thing for me. That means exposing two services, create a game and roll, instead of 3, because I don't know if I'll need the third one. And I'm lazy, so I take the easiest solution, the one where I have the less work to do. What's the next pause, the next step, next schedule?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, perfect.
So we have time.
Perfect. So, here, to get the last score, it's kind of easy with my cheating tool. Test context, get element, I just roll. So, rolls. And here, we have to decide where is the score, and I think score can be fair enough. Okay, so this is my score, and in fact, this is an integer. Oh, sorry. Game score? Game score can be fair enough. I just roll, so I have the score. Okay, for everybody. And here, I want to check that game score is equal to score. Okay. Now, do we cut this one or do we remove it? What do you prefer? We cut it? So, let's cut that. So here I want a string, and same, it will be quite easy, but you'll have to dictate it to me. The implementation part, waiting for you.
like the score, we can return it when player won.
Yeah, it seems fair enough. You roll, you get your updated game, and in the game you have the owner. Why not? That's fair enough. So that means we can have the concurrent test context, get, we're gonna get the roles, and here we have the player. I think it's okay, play a game with a player. Okay, perfect. This is my player. This is a string, and I'll add an ugly cast. Oh, sorry. And here, I want my player to be equal to my player name. Simple to write. This glue code doesn't cost much when you're used to it. It's really easy to write. Ah, the next one is interesting. This is interesting. How do you read this kind of tables? Oh, please.
Yes, issue from Eclipse, I guess.
From my OS, I think. When the mouse isn't moving, I don't know. So, what's this? How can I have this? That's kinda ugly, I must admit. This is a list of map. Map, string. So this is Concumber. I can do anything about it, but I have a list of map, and every line I will have first roll, second roll. It's not string, sorry, it's string int. Okay, so now that I have that, how can I check the results? I just want to check something. Did I put the... No, okay, I didn't put the count element method in my concurrent test context, so let's just skip it. It will be annoying. It's just documentation readings from JSON pathway. So let's say we don't check the number of frames, because that's annoying. We can do it, but that won't be really interesting for the talk. And here, so I have my frames. I can just, sorry, frames is a list. So what can I do? How can I check? Okay, I have a list of string integers, string being the column name, integer being the value. And I want to ensure that in my game, that I have those frames. So it will be ugly, you'll see. Int frame 0 frame under frames size. Here I want to get, so this is in my frames. Okay, you see the ugly part? Okay, so I have my frame, and in this frame, I want the first roll. So this should be equal to frames, get frame, get, this is a map. Phew! Not really cool, but we'll be able to refactor that. So this, no, I won't get what I want, no problem. This is the frame path. Okay, and so if I duplicate that, I want to check that my second row is equal to the second port. This code is not beautiful, but it's okay. It's just glue code to map Gherkin to my application. So now, if we are lucky, we have defined steps for our whole scenario. It means that we have a big loop to pass, a big loop, because we have no service, no application, no repository. I missed. User creates a game. What did I miss? Oh, yeah. Missing because of a trolling space. So sad. This is the sad part of Concumber, I think. But here is, he found the method. And he say, okay, I should have a 201 which Zeta asked, and I have a method not allowed. Just because my service doesn't exist, Spring will say, method not allowed. Okay, so I can close all of that. And what's the next step? What do we do now? Now I have a test. I have a big level test. I have a component test. And lots of things to do.
So
we create the endpoint. That's a way. Create the endpoint. Okay. I ask because depending on your logic, you may want to start with one part or another. Everything is fine. It just depends on your logic, on the way you're thinking. So the endpoint, I create it in the... Where is the endpoint? Primary, perfect. So here I will create in a package view. Nobody else needs to see it. A games resource, because it's JHipster, so I take the resource naming from JHipster. Okay, so it's annotation time. It's a REST controller. It's have a request mapping on /API/games. It's API, I don't remember, API, I think. I need tags for Swagger, so it will be in the good stuff. So do I have? No, I don't have the constants, so I'll create it. Paintball APIs. Dot games tag. Okay. So this API, this stuff, I'll put it in common. So that's a shared package, a shared kernel between many contexts. And so here in common, I have primary, but I don't have. I have primary errors, but I don't have just primary. No problem. I'll create it. So in primary, I'll just create paintball APIs. This is just a beautiful anti-pattern with a constant class, a class with just constant. Okay, and now I want my game tags. What do I want? Yes, I want that. As simple as that. Okay, I'll have the games well setted in Swagger. So now let's create a first service, the game creation service. And I need the documentation. here the important part is the API response for the errors. I need to document the format, the payload for my errors. So if I have 500, the response will be, so it's, oh, please, I don't remember. See, yes, that's it. That's it, got you. Okay. And here I want a response entity of a REST game. Can be a good idea. Create game. I don't need any parameter, I think. So, what's the problem here? Do you want missing attribute? Oh, this workplace is a nightmare. Message. An error occurred while creating the game. You want a message? I give him a message. So I need to create my REST game. I put it in package. It is really important. For class in this package, third time I say put it in package. It's really important. Okay, so I have my REST game. This is a to-do. And the create game. So what part do? We fill this method or we fill this REST game? What do you want? What do you prefer? No preference. So left, this is left. Okay. So we'll see. Is it a good call? So here I want a response entity. Okay. No, created. So, but created ask a location, and I don't want it for now. So I'll just set a new response entity so I can have a body. So my body is a REST game. How do I create my REST game? I have a problem. I'll set null for the moment. But what's my REST game? Wait, of course, it's ambiguous because here I need a REST game. But how can I create the REST game? Where does it come from? In fact, my REST game comes from a game creation. But the game creation will be done by the application service. So here I need games. Oh, no. Please? My PC is dying. How is that possible? That's not me. The PC is dying. Okay, so here I have a problem. I need a new package because I need my application layer. So here I have my application service. I can put it in a parameter, perhaps. Why is my PC dying like that? That's new. In fact, we tried a lot of new things today, so yes, die in silence, please. I know you are dying, so we are, but die in silence. Thanks, computer. Oh no, oh you are totally lost. Yeah, you found yourself. Okay, and this game is from games create. But here I need a player name. So I can go get my security utils, almost from JHipster. The class is from JHipster, it's generated with your application. but this one is refactored. Refactored because the get current user login will throw a not authenticated user exception. So you don't have to handle optionals when you don't want to, because that's my case. You can create a game if you are not authenticated. So, and in fact, the endpoint won't be reached, so it's okay. So I think I can do that. Okay, perfect. Nothing's compiled. I'm happy. Not at all. Games create. I want a game, and here it's my player name. So far so good. Sorry. Okay, and here I need my from method, so I can convert a domain object to a REST object. Okay. So what do we do next? Because we have a lot of tasks. We can do the REST game, we can do the application service, this is okay. And the resource, if we are lucky, it's okay. We can refactor it a little bit. Something like that may be easier to read. Application service, let's go. I still have a high-level test. I don't want to do unit test on that because, do you remember why I don't do unit test on that kind of stuff? Because I'm lazy and I have a high-level test. There are very little value in application service, so I don't unit test it. That's new for me. I was testing it like some months ago. Right now I'm not testing it. And do you remember when I said this morning, careful, your application service are not your Spring services. This is why I'm putting a Spring service notation. This is a service in the sense, in the stereotype sense. And if you ever open the documentation of @service, indicate that an annotated class is a service defined by domain-driven design. This is, I found it fun. Don't know for you, but for me it's fun to see that and to see how it is used in Spring application. Yes, 6 hours of stream. Very good, Geoffrey. We are, yeah. My voice left like 1 hour ago, I think, and my brain, it was 1 hour before that. So we are perfectly good. And we have the choice between being too hot and having air conditioner and no voice. So I think we'll be back to air conditioner, but that's kind of hard. Yeah. So I have my application service, but the application service alone will have some problem. But for now, I can do that. New game, player name. But that's not good, because here the application service is not doing any orchestration. He's not saving things. And when I create a game, I want my game to be saved, of course. So here I extract my game, and I will inject a port, which is my games repository. Create my interface. It's in my domain, because the domain depends of nothing, and everything depends of the domain. Yeah, we only have water to drink. They didn't bring any beer, and that's sad. Okay? So now, that means when I'm doing that, I can save the game I just created. For now, I have no idea what is this save, what's gonna happen when I'm saving a game. But I know I need to save a game at this point. So I create my method. So now I have my method. I know my port. I know what's needed. I know what needs to be implemented. So perfect. I have this. It's compiling, and next to do is that. We do that? Let's go. I have one living man in that room, and this is a good news. And this is awesome. So what's the first test for that? I'm losing my mouse again.
Yes.
Thanks. So I'm adding the Sergi assertions. Yeah, depends. Sometimes I edit like that. Sometimes I do a first assertion. So the first test I can do is what happens when I create from a null game. But not sure it's really useful here. So I can just test with a game with many rules. I can do something like that. Should convert from domain. So res game from domain. So I have a games fixture. And I can create, for example, a free rules game. This can be some decent classic game. So I create my game for my player, of course. And I'll do 10. Yeah, strike, a special case. Excellent. And then a spare. Perfect. I have some test case. Okay, so, oh, sorry. Do I have any interest in checking the contents of this class, checking the attributes, or not?
Maybe take the mic.
I think we do not need to test it, to check it, because the annotation JSON property is checking the required field. So
We don't need to test the values, but we do need to test the serialized version. Because what I want is to check what I serialize and to check my contract. So answering that the serialized version of this game suits my need is really interesting for me. Checking it is really important. Because I want to see the serialized version. Okay, so of course this is not working, and here we are gonna start to think of, okay, what's a REST game? So it's a game, of course, as an API model, and I'll have a player, which is a string for my REST API. That's not a player name, because I don't want to have player and then a name inside of it. That's ugly for an API. I just want a player and here have a name. So what's my next? We said we have an ID. This is important. We are testing it. So, unique, no, that's not spelled like this, I think. Never remember. Unique is like that, no? Yeah, okay. So this is final also, because I like to make things final whenever they can. Okay. And then the score, yes. This is required also, and then frames, yes. So I have my collection of rest frame. Okay, I have another problem. Please. Every time I code, I have more code to do. That's so sad. Okay, and is this required?
Yes, maybe it's empty, but
If it's empty, I have a configuration that it won't be serialized. So it's not required for me, from my point of view. And I create in package my rest frames. Okay, so now I have lots of problems here. Perfect, I love problems. And my computer is dying and dying, and I have no idea why. So let's do this implementation, or at least try. So here I want to create an object with 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters. I don't want to make a constructor with 4 parameters because this is ugly and really hard to use. So I'll just make a builder. So I want a new, no, I don't do that. I want a new REST game builder. Okay, I have a problem again. So I create my builder class in the same file, so I can make it private, and I will be able to have a private constructor. So here, this is my builder. This is just a trick to ease the next step, because here I know I want an ID. My ID is my, oh, it's not create, it's a game. Here, please. Game get ID get. Okay, not working, of course. Just create a method. Okay. Now I want a player. So far, so good. Ah, I did player. Where are we in the count of typos on player? Over 9,000, you said? Yeah, probably over 9,000. Okay. Now we need the score. That's not interesting code. I agree with that. But it's oh, no. Please. That's not interesting, and if I do mistake, it's even. Can we say Beringer? I don't know. A Beringer is not that. Totally something else. Okay, so I get the builder each time, and then I need the frames. And here I have a problem, because I want the frames, but I need to map it in REST frame. Problem. Not a big problem, but still a problem. Okay, so here I need a from method. No. This is supposed to compile. No, because this is static. Okay, and here I need my frames method. So this is not a list, this is a collection, because I take the highest possible interface. So of course I'll have to change that, but no problem. Okay, and now, in fact, I just need to build that. And the build method will get me my REST game. Okay, so of course this is not working because I just need to return that. Perfect. So this gets me a new REST game with this as parameter. So I take the builder as parameter. Here I can make it private. And here I can take the builder. Okay, with this pattern, can be a little troubling the first time you see it. Okay, perfect. So now the annoying part. Yes. Yes, that's the standard way, I'll say. But did I mention I'm lazy? So with I have the same thing to type. The computation is not that good, and that doesn't add much, so I remove it. Okay, so this is compiling, and this is failing miserably, but I want to do my frame before. So, same thing. I want the yes, and here I want to check should convert one roll frame and true roll frame. I need to check the two cases. So when I have no, it's not convert, it's serialize. Because that's the only goal for those classes. So my REST frame from a new frame. Oh yes. With the import, it's working way better. So, and same, I'm lazy, too lazy to imagine it a JSON. So this is not what I want, of course, but I need my documentation. And here, in fact, I want first row and second row. So, but second row will be an integer here, not an int. This means here I have the pins done in the first row, and this is required. And this one is not, and this is really important for the documentation. By default, it's not required. Here I have just two parameters, so I accept, because it's a private method, I can do that. Can make a REST frame with get first row. And here I have a problem, because I have only one test, but I need to make the implementation for both case. So I create another test so I don't forget that. That's one of the cases. My signature say, okay, you have to handle the two cases. So you have to make two tests upfront. Because here I can map do I map? No. This is enough, I think. Okay, and my tests are failing, but it's normal. But here I can check. Ah, well done, well played. You forgot the right port. Let's say it's too late in the day. Oh, that's not at all what I want. This is giving me an empty JSON. Not what I want. Can you see why? I've seen it. It's a silly mistake. He is giving me opening and closing braces. That's all. And the reason is pretty straightforward. Because I need accessors. So Jackson will give me a real serialization. And here I have my first roll to 2. And this is exactly what I want. And here I should have 2 rolls, and this is cool. Huh. Okay, so this is a big part of my contract test. I'm testing the payload I'm rendering. If this test is breaking, I'm probably breaking some interface. So that's not cool. And now let's check this JSON. And it's opening and closing brackets. I don't want that. So here, I just need getters. So, okay, looks better. I have an ID, a player, a score, and my frames. Perfect. I know it's okay. So, for the first time of the day, I'll start a test using gnetrunner so that I don't get silly line break in the middle of my JSON. And I can put the line break wherever I want. And this should... Do you get why this is not working? Yeah. The ID is generated. The reason is silly, but that's really important. That means I need a game signature where I can give an ID. That's really important. So here I need an ID from a string. So I just grab the first service I can get my hands on to do that. Yes, thanks a lot. Perfect. And here I'll need another signature. Okay? Not okay?
Not okay.
Oh, yes, tell me why.
Not okay is a test should not touch the business.
Yes. So not okay. Let's delete that. We'll probably need it later to get a game, but right now we don't need it. So
maybe it's just this. You have to just test. We have an ID, but we cannot
ends with
know what is the ID.
starts with seems fair enough. I have an ID. I check my serialization, but I don't care of the ID. Okay, so where are we in our feature?
Just, Colin, the time is running, and so we have soon an interview with
Yes,
Pierre. So
no problem.
tell us
we can make a pause right now.
Maybe we are waiting for Pierre for 2 or 3 minutes, so you just we just have to stop when you want. But just to tell you that maybe if you want to start new things, we must take that in consideration.
I think we've done the hardest part.
And after, of course, we will have a break for 30 minutes to drink and eat something.
Call a taxi.
And
so I can go to the airport. This is a good idea. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. So let's just wait for Pierre, but right now I just want to check that. So we have the services to create a game. We need the services to roll. And that's all. So, but to be able to roll, we'll need to be able to get the game. So 2 things remaining, I think, or do you see any other thing? But we'll need to have an implementation of a repository and be able to save, get, roll, save. And I think we are done. We have 2 services to expose and not that much left. Fine. Not that much. So we are gonna switch to the full camera right now, but we are gonna switch to the last. No, it's not the last interview for today.
No, we have one left. So at 6 p.m. So stay with us until the end of the day.
Yeah.
And now we are switching with Pierre.
Yes.
From the com team, JHipster.
Hello.
We need to check and switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Switch,
and it's up to you guys.
Hi Pierre, thanks for joining. So small discussion, informal discussion to talk about JHipster code, and to talk about you. That's why you're here. So maybe we can start with a presentation of who you are, your background, how you came here.
So I'm Pierre Besson. I'm currently working in a startup as a site reliability engineer, basically DevOps engineer, to manage cloud infrastructure. And before that, I worked at Ipon, which is the company in which JHipster was created. And I worked with Julien Dubois back when I started, basically my career. And then I was always interested in working with infrastructure, with containers. So I contributed to JHipster mostly on those parts.
Okay.
And currently, right now at JHipster Code, we are brainstorming and we are coding what could be like the next steps for JHipster. Not just focusing on application code, but also on infrastructure code, like using Terraform, for example.
Okay, so JHipster, how much time have you been working on JHipster? So you said
I
2
don't
years?
know, maybe 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5, so almost from the beginning.
Oh no, maybe 2 or 3 years after it was created.
Okay, and so today at your company, you're working with JHipster or?
No, we are not directly working with JHipster. However, since many people in the team know JHipster, it gave them some ideas. So we are part of the community, even if maybe our current project is not using JHipster, it is using technologies which JHipster also uses. And it always gives us some ideas and train us, even if we are not using it directly.
And you're not using it because of it's not fitting your
mostly
your use cases?
because we are working on blockchain technologies. So it's not that much you know the same.
Yeah. And so you say you're contributing. So I know you're contributing to JHipster. Does your company contribute also? People
No.
from your company or?
No, not yet, not currently, but they sponsored me to give talks in the past, so it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, and so getting back to you, what's your role in the community, in the JHipster community?
So I received the responsibility to manage the Docker Compose subgenerator and Kubernetes subgenerator, but mostly I contribute when I have time to the discussions, reviewing pull requests, but mostly on my own part, which is about DevOps and containers. Yeah.
And still getting hands-on all development tasks.
Yeah, I try.
In addition to the
I try. Yes.
the management part. So that's the difference, because I think you have the title of core team members.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong. So that's the distinction between a core team member and a community member.
Yeah. So if you are a community member, which it means you go on the GitHub and you try to submit some code, discuss with the community. After a while, if you are a regular contributor, we will offer you to join the core team, which is open to anyone really, and we have members from all around the world. And it's open to regular contributors or people who want to maybe get more involved. But it's really just if you are a regular contributor, you will be offered, and we will gladly. I think the core team now we are a lot, maybe over 20 people or something like that, and some people come and go, and depending if they are available or interested.
Okay, and so you were saying that your domain of expertise is around more DevOps. So I don't know how to say this, but isn't that a little bit more complicated to work on JHipster on that DevOps part more than pure application parts?
Yes, the most difficult part is that you cannot really test on your machine. You have to test on the cloud, and it takes some time to create resources, and then you have to remember to delete them after using it, and they cost money. It's not like on your own machine you can run software, it's free. So for that we have sponsors from Google, Microsoft, and even AWS this year.
Oh, nice.
And they give us some credits so we can use their cloud, and so we can even use it as testing ground for ourselves, and then implement in JHipster the technologies that we think will interest people.
So mainly you're working with the three main cloud providers from now on.
But really, I think this part of JHipster is really still only a few people are contributing. I think as cloud providers, and the cloud and developers, they are getting more and more involved with this. And I hope with JHipster we can offer a way to get started quickly and to learn. That's the only goal.
Okay. And so for today, what's your role and your activities to that first JHipster code?
Yeah.
What's your role?
At JHipster code?
Yes.
I'm part of the JHipster Developer Association with Julien, and I'm hosting a track on DevOps.
Okay.
And right now we are 3 people in the track, and we are trying to develop a JHipster Terraform kind of generator. And the goal is that right now with JHipster you can generate Kubernetes deployment files, but you don't have really the code to set up a Kubernetes cluster in the cloud. So this is just to provide the missing part, and then hopefully JHipster can it will. If we manage to do that, it means JHipster can provide the code from the front end up to the infrastructure. So we cover all grounds.
Okay, and that's the objective for today, or
that's the long-term objective.
Maybe long-term. Okay, and are you going as fast as you might expect, or are you facing any difficulties? Or
no, we are not facing many difficulties. The biggest difficulty is time. So we always we always want more companies to contribute time, more companies to sponsor us, and maybe pay contributors because the project is fully community. It's a full community project, and I mean, right now, some companies are using JHipster and benefiting from it, but JHipster itself is not a product. It's not a business.
Yeah.
It's just a community of developers.
Okay. And also, how are you organizing? So yourself and three other people on your track today. Are you all working together to get the topic going deeper, or do you split? Do you have a whole bunch of bug fixes or small parts on you?
No. The objective of today is just to develop a POC, and we are not contributing directly on the generator right now.
Okay, but you're all of you working in the same time,
Yes.
pair programming the
Yes.
functionalities.
Yes, the goal of today is because we can be physically together, bring up as many ideas as we can, and maybe when we are back at home, think more and clean up the code.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Write tests. Right now, it's not the focus. Yeah.
Don't worry about him. Okay, so not that much for my part. Maybe, what I'm asking since this morning. We are a lot of us contributing to JHipster here. What, from your point of view, what would you like to see as a next feature, or which feature that doesn't exist yet in JHipster would you find helpful and would you like to have in the coming months?
I think so many features, but
the main one, the breakthrough.
The feature that I really pushed through is something called the JHipster Control Center. And maybe some other people have talked about it. I don't know if they talked about it today. So it's basically a dashboard for your JHipster applications.
Okay.
And basically, it's based on the Spring Boot actuator. So Spring Boot actuator offers monitoring endpoints that you can use on your app. And the JHipster Control Center is just a UI. And initially, last year, I proposed that we develop such a control center. And thanks to the interns at IPON, they made it a reality. And based on the POC, they developed the real UI, and now it's usable in development. So you can start the control center, and it will be released in JHipster 7.
Okay.
But it still needs some polish, but then it's already useful in development, and you can have a dashboard of your apps. And the next step is to use this dashboard also in production, and possibly connect it to monitoring tools. And this will be really cool to really bring the vision, my vision of JHipster for dev and JHipster, for ops, really bring it together and kind of like bring a continuity to the tools.
Okay, so that raises one more question. You're talking about the control center and the UI that's required to monitor everything. Do you make call to some UX UI designers to produce those?
We were just speaking about it, and it's actually really needed right now to have UX contributors on this.
Yeah, we discussed that point with Julien. That's why I was asking you if for that part you found someone or you had some UX UI skills.
I don't think there is a UX developer or designer coming today, but we are looking for contributors and especially for this part, it's really important that we bring something that has a UX that can talk to, that can be useful for developers. It's for a subject that is really very important for the JHipster community's developer experience.
Yeah. So we repeat the call for UX UI designers to join the community.
So sorry, there seems to have a fan on the chat, Hokuru, with saying, "Oh, P. Besson, he's here." Hawk,
Okay,
You do.
Ryan. Okay, yeah.
So you have a fan on the chat if you want to say hello to your fan base community.
Hello.
I don't know if you have anything else to add, any message you want to pass, maybe to join the DevOps and the...
Just a call for as many diverse talents as possible to come join the project. And we're really building. The great thing about JHipster is that people can bring their skills and their motivation to the project, and this is what makes the project grow.
Good. Thank you very much, Pierre.
Thank you.
And we leave you go back to
coding.
your track.
Yes. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much.
This is the official break for JHipster code for half an hour, I think, until half. 16.5, so we'll be back in 15 minutes, something like that. Little break for us. I'm gonna try to find a voice. If somebody have one for me, it will be very helpful. So see you in 15 minutes chat.